Hello! What do you do when it's a spare of the air day? You can't use your barbecue. Well, I figured that I had a mod that I wanted to get to. I think I alluded to it a few videos back, but just didn't have the time. Well, now I've been given the time. So what I have here is a new seal that I'm going to put around the door that is to the firebox, all the way around this outer edge. I think I've shown a couple of videos where I thought smoke was getting by some of these seals. So as I look at it, it seems like where that could possibly happen is in these corners and stuff. So anyway, I thought, how hard could it be? We'll find out. So I'm going to show you a couple of views here where you can't even see across the street mostly. This morning, I mean, it was maybe 50 feet. So here it is a few hours later, and it's probably about a half a block. And that's definitely without having to check a spare of the air day. So let's see how this goes. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, that's the beautiful view of our downtown, and can only see about 3 blocks. Yep, not very clear today. And that's the view of San Jose, which I've shown a couple of times, and literally at the end of the street as far as we can see there. Wow. And normally I can see the San Mateo Bridge from here, and again, just another block away. So it is clearly a spare of the air day. This is where I ordered the seal that I'm going to be using around the door. This is the seal right here. You can see that it's their logo, and you know, it's a high temp seal, and this is the door that I'm going to replace the seal on. I'm going to put it, this is the one for the firebox, so I'm going to remove that whole seal and then install the new one. If I can't barbecue today, might as well fix the barbecue. Alrighty, alright, I got my workstation set up. What I'm going to do is remove all these screws around the door, separate it, and then pull the gasket off, clean it, and then see if I can just reverse the process. I believe it's going to be really simple, but if I go into it thinking it's going to be simple, then I know it's going to bite me. So anyway, let's see if I can share my successes and pains with you here. I would love to be filming this live, but I'm doing this while enjoying a nice drink here, and I've got Charlie Daniels in the background singing, I think it's Taking Back the USA. So this is my happy little workshop. I'll give you a fast peek there. So anyway, I removed the screws, here they are, and at this point there's one corner here that is riveted, so it's going to obviously have to pull out from there. But over here on the hinge side, I can see that I can lift it. I can lift it here on the other hinge. So just with one hand, I pulled it forward. It's come loose. I'm now lifting it out. So what we have now is the cool cover door, and then the inner door. So that part went easy. So I was looking to see where the seam was, because when I put this one together, there will be a seam, and I'm going to have to butt the seam together, and I happen to have a high temp silicone patch that I'm going to squeeze the glue together and let it dry. And I'm going to put the split either on the bottom or on the side. I'm going to have to think about that a little bit more. But as far as removing the seal goes, you can see where all the ash builds up in here too. It looks like this was made as one big piece, and it just comes right off. So fortunately I'm not tearing it, so that means if something happens and I have to put this back. So far it looks like I can do that. But anyway. Yep. So seal is removed. I'm going to drop that to the floor. I'm going to clean this up. And then I suspect I'm looking at just putting the other seal back on there and putting it together, but we'll find out. Okay, I'm going to try to show this. Let me get where there's sun. You know, when I had the video where I showed that there was like a blistering of what some people are saying is creosote, whatever it is. And boy, there it is, trying to focus it. Okay, so you can see that there's a little buildup, and I also saw that here on the inside of the door. So normally I would just clean that and not even mention it, but if you guys are going to follow me down this rabbit hole, I just thought I'd show what I ran into. So it's built up along the edge there, kind of clean where the top was, but then over here on the side it also is built up. So that's all going away. So I'm going to scrape that all down. Okay, now with all that scraped up, I shot it with a little bit of my gun scrubber to get rid of the grease and stuff, so it's all nice and clean. And at this point I'll break out the seal from the package here and do a dry fit, and then see what's next. And this is just a process of discovery. So I've started fitting it. I've got the cooling door down first, and I put the inner panel in that I was scraping some of the junk off, and then I was putting this in as a dry fit. It's nothing more than a rubber tube that is got stainless steel all the way around it that comes out on the bottom. So this stainless steel tucked in all the way around, and where the screws are going to go through, I'm going to use like an awl and punch a little hole in here. When you do, I would push this screen down, this seal down as close as you can without deforming it or anything. But the idea is that once you get that close to the edge here, and then you put the screw in, the screw is going to pinch it and hold it in place. Now, I want to point out that this end is really buggered up here. And what I used was a pair of side cutters. So didn't work. That was a fail. But now if you look at this one, it's like it's nice and clean. And the screen part was nice. I just kind of crushed it with my finger. I didn't mean to do that. But what I did here is I went into my garage and got my best shop shears. Just a pair of scissors. So a nice sharp pair of tight scissors, and it just cuts right through it like no problem. So don't use your wife's best scissors. Get your best ones out of your shop, which are probably her old best pair. And if you use her new best pair, then that will probably become your new shop pair of scissors. So careful. So now that I've got that all in there, this piece is, a little long so that I can get it exactly to fit. And I'm going to cut it maybe just to the fat side here so that it's nice and snug. And then when I put the red silicone on here, then I'll be putting it around the edges, and I'll probably be putting it inside the hole as well, so that when it dries it's going to be like a little silicone plug as well as whatever glues around here. But anyway, so far so good. Okay, so there's my butt fit there. Yep, I said butt. Anyway, so that's nice and tight. And these are just sitting there with gravity at the moment. So I'm now on my way to poke the holes and put those screws back in. And that really is about what we've got. So let's see. I don't know how long that was. I'm going to call it 10 minutes. So all my screws are in. And if I can pick this up now and where the screws are and know that it's pretty sturdy. The thing is that with this inner plate, gravity is going to make it want to go and obviously rest against the bottom here. But as we know, there's an air gap in there, which equates to this job. When you're putting that screw in, what I found, I like to chase my screws through, so I have these wooden probes that I use for other things. But I was able to get it lined up before the screw was there, and I twisted it like a little drill and got it to go through. But in doing so, I also realized that I was having to pick up, like my knuckles, my first knuckles are like in the groove here. Then my thumb here's on the outside, so I had to push down on the outside while I was lifting up. And of course this corner made it easy because we have this piece here. So it's a lifting up action, pushing down to raise the hole. Because if this inner plate is all the way down to the other plate, this screw will not make it. It's going to be like 1/8 of an inch off. It has to be pulled up. And you got to do that all the way around. Also, the other thing I used is a flat screwdriver bit. And I was doing that to make sure that the mesh was all the way down, and especially down when I put the screw through. If you peel this back where the screw is, you shouldn't see any mesh. That's my point. And on one of these, I actually put the screw in, and sure enough, I saw the mesh and I knew I had to pull it back out. So I pulled it out and then tucked it in tighter, and then lifted this up a little bit while pushing the outer one down, and put the little wooden stick in there until I knew I had a little hole. Then I tightened it up. Well, I didn't tighten them up. I left them all like about 1/2 to 2/3 loose, because this tray is going to have slop in it. So if I had tightened everything up over here, this side would be real loose, and I think this thing would fall out. So kind of like putting lug nuts on. After I had all the screws in and they were all a little over half loose, I went around and I gave them all a little torque at a time. And what I was trying to do was tighten this tray up so that it didn't get pulled one way or the other, or up or down. I wanted it to be in the middle as much as possible. So now I'm at the point where I'm going to put the glue in. And like I said, I've got these pieces that came with this guy, and I will inject about this far on both sides in here to make that a continuous piece with just an outer seam, but it'll be supported better. So that's what I'm up to there. Good thing I have my Jack Daniels. That's how much it's taken to go this far, and the music really helps, because sometimes I just sit back, give it a look, get into the song a little bit, then snap out of it, and then get back in here and do it again. Don't be afraid of it, but I don't know if I would put myself on the block by saying, hey, if you can't do it, send it to me, I'll do it. Well, what would you charge? A job like this, that's got to be a $15 value, but unfortunately I would have to charge $100, because I'm looking at what my time is here. And so far, from taking it off and playing around with the camera and setting everything up and doing all this, I've got over an hour in playing around. But then to me, and this is more of a hobby, and I enjoy it. So hope that helps. I've got the glue on there. I'm going to let it dry. When it gets a little tackier, I'm going to take a piece of paper and try to smooth that out just a little bit. But it's all together. It's now a new door with a seal all the way around. And would I do it again? Well, I'm going to have to do it at least once more, because I'll probably do this to the top of the charcoal box on the Masterbuilt. Then at the same time, I'm going to want to do the lid on my kettle there on the Weber. So yeah, I'll be doing it again. It's just one of those things that you just find a nice quiet time in your day where you have an hour or two, or you just have nothing else to worry about. Don't worry about the lawn or anything. Just put it together. It's a little fiddly, but it is not difficult. If I did it, you can do it. All right. And now to the next step. So let's see how it fits. I got the door on, And now looking at how it closes. Seems like that's where the button, oh, that's what that is. That little thing is for the button. Okay, so wow, I can't wait till I light this thing to make sure it's working well. But until then, I'll leave it open so that it's not going to seat. I'd rather put it on there and then immediately use the heat to help form the gasket. I don't think there's a problem either way, but it doesn't really matter if that door is open. It's undercover here, so I'm good. And I think that's going to end this video on how to put the high temperature seal on the FireDoor, and eventually I'll do that up here as well. This is you know, the same material, but I'll just go ahead and it looks like the same thing. It's got the inner plate and the outer plate with the screws. So yeah, I'll do one more for this one. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it right now. I got to catch up on a couple other things. And along with my lighter for starting the haystacks there, or the tumbleweed, make sure you always keep a fire extinguisher nearby. You never know. So I think that's going to be it. We're going to wrap this up, and thank you very much for coming along and watching how to do this. Take care.